Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the first dry lab. We're going to do a little bit of graphing in Excel. So if you go to lab 1, and the two things that you're going to need is Intro to Graphing, ADA, so you can download that. And it looks something like this. Okay. The second thing that you're going to need is the Excel spreadsheet, plants.xlsx, so you can click on that, and that'll download a spreadsheet that looks like this. Okay. This first exercise is very brief, so I'm debating adding something else to it, so that there's a little bit more meat to it. But effectively, it's graphing, and a lot of you are going to know how to do this already. Some of you might not, and so this is going to be very, very beneficial. So this consists of 3 activities. We're only going to do the last 2, and it's not going to take that very long. Okay. One of the things that the author to this publishing addresses is how to calculate an average and how to calculate a standard deviation. And while I do want you to read this so you know how to do these things, the name of the game here is to learn how to do it on Excel, because Excel makes everything, number 1, faster, and number 2, more professional looking. So just to practice a little bit, here's my little plants that I just downloaded. Okay, and let's say I wanted to do an average of wheat plants on week 8, which is what the author does. Okay, in whichever box I want that information displayed, I would click on it. I would put an equal sign on there. That equal sign lets Excel know that we're going to do math. I'm going to type in average. And as a matter of fact, you don't even have to type in average. You can just type in a little bit, and Excel will bring up possible options. So there's average right there. You can double click on it, and then we can highlight the data for week 8. Hit enter, and there's our answer. So the plant height in week 8 is 9 centimeters. The author also wants you to do standard deviation. Well, standard deviation is just as easy. You put an equal sign, you start typing ST, okay, and there's 2 standard deviations. There's a population and a sample. Here, because we're going to do all of the plants from week 8, we're going to choose population. So we double click on it, we highlight the plants from that week, hit enter, and there's our standard deviation. So approximately 68% of the growth was within 1.4 centimeters, plus or minus. Very neat. Okay. So if you feel comfortable with that, that's fine. If you don't, practice it a couple times. Okay. One of the things that really makes me break out in hives, though, is not having things titled. So this is my average. Here's my standard deviation. Okay. Practice it again. Let's do week 7 just as a practice. Okay. So week 7. AVE, double click on average, highlight the plants for week 7, hit enter. There's our average. So our average is, I'm going up here to number, under the home tab, to number, and I'm decreasing the number of decimal points. Okay, and so I'm reporting to one decimal point, one decimal place. So the average for week 7 was 8.7 centimeters, and the standard deviation, STD, choose the population, highlight your points, hit enter, and then we're going to bring that down to one decimal place. So the standard deviation in week 7 was about 1.2 centimeters. So again, 68% of the growth was plus or minus 1.2 centimeters. Okay, you don't need to report this anywhere. I'm just telling you how easy it is to do this. Very, very easy. I'm going to now erase it. And now I'm going to refer you back to our little packet here. So here's our packet. And what we're going to do is we're going to go down to exercise 2 or activity 2. Here's activity 1. Here's activity 2, which deals with Excel. And what we're going to do is we're going to start in on step 7. We're not doing the previous ones because they teach you how to do that Excel data sheet which I gave you. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, oops, let me move this out of the way. There we go. What we're going to do is we're going to select our plants. Let's see, our author chose all the weeks, and he chose all the wheat plants. So there's wheat plant 1, wheat plant 2, wheat plant 3. We highlight all of them like so. And oops, let's try it again. And then we're going to go to the Insert tab, and the author tells you to go under Charts, to go to XY Scatter. This is XY Scatter. I'd like to make it bigger for you, but I can't. If I make Excel bigger, the cells will become bigger, but this scroll will remain the same size. So you just kind of have to pay attention to where my mouse is at. Okay, click on it. Should say XY or bubble chart. You click on it, and you have multiple options. The one that the author chose, which I found amusing, was this one right here. Okay, the very first one. So it looks like this. All right, that's fine. Personally, I like lines without data points. And when you publish, your audience frequently wants to see the data points. So this is the most popular one right here. Okay, but let's follow what the author says and do it this way. So there it is. Okay, that looks pretty good. One of the things that we need to do is we need to add access titles to these things. If you're a scientist and your chart doesn't have access titles, you really don't know what it's saying. Okay, I break out in hives if I have a chart and it doesn't have titles on it. So how do you put titles on it? Well, you click on the chart. Okay, double click, I believe. So I'm going to double click on my chart, and when I double click on my chart, two things happen. I end up with this little green cross over here that says chart elements, and then over here under design, this add chart element option shows up over here. You can choose either one. Okay, so I'm going to choose this one right now. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to go to access titles. I'm going to choose primary horizontal, and I'm going to type in what the independent variable is, which of course is time. in weeks. I just type it in. When I'm finished typing, I hit enter, and my independent title is populated. Okay, I can do it over here. Click on the green cross. Go to Access Titles. Okay, and do. Oh, my primary horizontal disappeared because I clicked in the wrong place. There it is. Let's try it again. Green cross, Access Titles, click here, and go primary vertical, and this guy appears, and immediately we start typing what the dependent variable is, which is height in centimeters. Okay, the units are always in parentheses. And then what do you put for chart title? Well, for chart title, we're going to put height of wheat plants by week. Okay. Last thing I would like for you to do is I want you to get rid of the border around this because it makes it look better. So click on the chart, and where it says border, click on border, put no line, and when you do that, the border disappears and it makes it look more aesthetic. Okay, well, incredibly, that's been 12 minutes, so I'm going to stop here and for a little break, and then we're going to move on to the next topic.